What makes a game feel meaningful with every decision? How do some games pull you in, making every moment feel significant? Well, that's something Klei, a developer who has consistently created standout indie titles, has mastered brilliantly. From the eerie survival of Don't Starve to the intricate complexities of Oxygen Not Included and the precise, methodical stealth of Mark of the Ninja, Klei consistently engages players by making sure every choice feels impactful. So how do they manage it? What keeps players thinking, experimenting, and exploring without feeling overwhelmed? Well, it boils down to three key principles: agency, interconnected systems, and feedback. These tools give players the freedom to explore while ensuring that every decision matters. So in this video, we're going to break down the designs behind these games and explore how you can bring these strategies into your own game. Let's not muck about. Let's get stuck in. Imagine this. You're dropped into a strange, unsettling wilderness with only a handful of tools and the looming threat of danger. There's no tutorials, there's no hand-holding, just an unfamiliar world and a lot of trial and error. That's the core experience of Don't Starve. From the moment you begin, the game sets the tone with its eerie, Tim Burton-esque art style, moody atmosphere, and complete lack of hand-holding. There's no tutorial to guide you through the mechanics of chopping trees, finding food, or avoiding dangerous creatures like the towering deerclops. Instead, Don't Starve thrusts you into its world with a singular goal: survive. The magic here is discovery. You're not just surviving, you're learning how to survive. Every day in the game is a new lesson: what resources matter, how to craft tools, when to retreat. You learn quickly that night is dangerous because, without light, something lurking in the darkness will kill you. But the game never tells you that explicitly. It lets you experience it firsthand. The thrill of Don't Starve comes from this process of discovery. Every creature, from the pigmen to the hounds, has unique behaviours that the player learns over time. For example, the giant eye plants and lure plants can be used strategically to trap other enemies, but you'd only know that by experimenting, getting killed, and trying again. Other games like Dark Souls and Outer Wilds, even Minecraft, they also excel at this. They avoid spoon-feeding mechanics to the player, instead allowing you to piece together the rules of the world through trial and error. Both games use failure as a learning tool, making each new bit of knowledge feel like an accomplishment. So, how can you apply this to your own games? Well, instead of immediately revealing all of your mechanics, consider leaving some elements for players to discover on their own. Let them experiment and fail. Create systems that reward curiosity. In Don't Starve, when players figure out that setting a trap near a rabbit hole catches food, or that certain flowers restore sanity, it feels personal and satisfying because the game didn't hand them the solution. By holding back information and letting the player figure things out through experience, you make their discoveries feel really earned. This keeps players curious and invested, always wanting to learn more. In Don't Starve, the entire world feels like this unfolding puzzle, which is what makes it so engaging. It isn't just about surviving yet another day, it's about the joy of uncovering how the world works. Now let's move on from wilderness survival to managing a space colony in Oxygen Not Included. Where Don't Starve leans on mystery, Oxygen Not Included excels in its intricate web of interconnected systems that are both rewarding and challenging to manage. Take a simple problem like, well, oxygen. In Oxygen Not Included, you're tasked with ensuring your colony has a steady supply of breathable air. This is no easy task. You quickly realize that producing oxygen generates heat, which, if not managed, can increase the colony's temperature. And high temperatures affect water levels. Water evaporates, impacting your food production and hygiene. Suddenly, a minor oxygen issue turns into a crisis where your entire colony could collapse. This kind of complexity isn't about adding more systems just for the sake of it. Each system in the game interacts with one another, creating a living, breathing ecosystem. You can't fix one problem in isolation. Building a coal generator might solve your energy needs, but the heat it generates will affect your oxygen production and water supply, which in turn impacts the morale of your colonists. And another example, Oxygen Not Included introduces duplicants, your colonists, who each have unique traits. One duplicant might be great at mining, but it is a mouth breather, meaning they consume more oxygen. You have to decide if their mining skills are worth the additional oxygen strain, weighing the short-term benefits against the long-term risks. This constant juggling act forces players to think several steps ahead. The interconnectedness of these systems means every choice ripples through the game, making even small decisions feel really impactful. So how can you build this kind of system into your game? Design your mechanics so that they naturally influence each other. Instead of creating isolated problems for the player to solve, try and weave the systems together. Let the player's decision to, say, build a farm also affect their water supply or morale. The more interdependent these systems are, the more depth you add to your gameplay. Oxygen Not Included teaches us that the challenge doesn't need to come from complexity alone. The game gives players the tools to manage the chaos and keeps them thinking strategically about how one decision will affect multiple systems. This interconnectedness ensures that players are constantly engaged and planning ahead. Imagine designing a game where every action has a ripple effect, where no decision is trivial because it impacts the broader ecosystem. That interconnectedness gives players a sense that every action matters, keeping them engaged over the long haul. Now let's talk about stealth. Have you ever played a stealth game where you weren't sure if you were hidden or if an enemy could hear you? That uncertainty can make stealth feel frustrating and unpredictable. But Mark of the Ninja avoids this pitfall by offering crystal clear feedback to the player. In Mark of the Ninja, you always know where you're hidden thanks to these visual indicators. You can see the radius of an enemy's hearing and their field of vision. This information doesn't make the game easier, it just makes it fair. You're not left guessing whether your actions will get you caught. Instead, you can focus on executing your strategy, knowing exactly how far sound travels and when you're in danger of being seen. Take the sound mechanic, for example. In Mark of the Ninja, every action, from running to a landing after a jump, generates sound waves that are visually represented. You know exactly how far that sound travels and which enemies might hear it. This transparency allows for precision in your movements and decisions, removing the guesswork that can plague so many stealth games. Stealth games like Hitman or Splinter Cell provide feedback as well, but Mark of the Ninja takes it to another level by visually representing all stealth mechanics. When you succeed in Mark of the Ninja, it's because you understand the system and executed it flawlessly. And when you fail, it's because you made a mistake, not because the game didn't give you enough information. So how can you apply this to your game design? Well, in precision-based mechanics like stealth or combat, clarity is key. Make sure players understand the rules, give them immediate feedback, and let them make informed decisions. When players know exactly how the mechanics work, they can focus on execution rather than trying to guess the system. Transparency in game mechanics leads to deeper, more engaging gameplay. Players feel more in control when they understand the consequences of their actions, and that control makes victories feel earned. Imagine designing a game where every decision is a calculated risk. Not because players are guessing, but because they know the system. The clearer your mechanics, the more empowered your players will feel, and that sense of control, it keeps them engaged. So what can we learn from these games? And more importantly, how can you apply these lessons to your own designs? Well, from Don't Starve, we learn the power of mystery and discovery. The game engages players by holding back information and encouraging them to learn through interaction. In your game, think about how much you explain up front and leave room for players to figure things out on their own. They're smarter than you think. From Oxygen Not Included, we see the impact of interconnected systems. Every decision influences multiple areas of the game, creating a living ecosystem where no action is without consequence. By designing systems that interact with each other, you give players the sense that every decision matters. And Mark of the Ninja teaches us the importance of clarity and precision-based mechanics. Clear feedback empowers players to make informed decisions and focus on execution. When players understand the rules of your game, they're able to enjoy the strategy and precision of the gameplay, rather than be frustrated by uncertainty. By weaving together mystery, interconnected systems, and clear feedback, you can create richer, more engaging experiences for your player. Speaking of indie devs creating engaging experiences, don't miss my breakdown of Devolver Digital's top games and the key design lessons that they offer. You can check it out right here. For now though, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.